Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right into an intense, incredibly time-sensitive aspect of feral cat rescue and trap-neuter return, or TNR, colony management. We're going to look at a practice that sits right at this fascinating intersection of animal behavior, biology, and human intervention. It's a situation where literally a matter of seconds can mean the difference between life and death for a trapped animal. So this explainer is focused entirely on the science of calming the feline mind.
So let's kick things off by challenging a pretty common assumption. If I asked you right now, what is the single most dangerous moment for a feral cat during the whole TNR process? What would you say? You might assume it's the veterinary surgery itself, right? With all the inherent risks of anesthesia. Or maybe you'd guess it's the exposure to the elements in the dead of winter. Or just the everyday dangers of navigating neighborhood traffic. But the data from the field points to something entirely different. The absolute most dangerous moment relies entirely on the trapper's immediate reflexes in the mere seconds following a catch. Section 1. The climax of the catch. To really understand what goes down during a catch, we've got to ground ourselves in the physical reality of a community cat's world. These are not your cuddly house pets. Feral cats are fundamentally unsocialized to humans. They live their entire lives outdoors, relying on these deep, ancient evolutionary instincts just to survive day to day. They're hardwired to navigate wide open spaces, to seek out secure shelters strictly on their own terms, and to immediately run from any form of confinement. They are completely and utterly unused to being restricted or trapped in any way whatsoever. Their entire survival strategy is basically evasion and spatial freedom.
And then, bam! In the blink of an eye, the trap springs shut. The metal door slams down, a lifetime of open roaming ends abruptly, and the animal's environment is completely upended in a fraction of a second. The quiet stillness of the alleyway is just instantly shattered by the loud mechanical clatter of the cage.
What happens next is a truly terrifying physical reality. The cat doesn't just sit there confused. No, it turns into an absolute explosion of kinetic energy. It throws its body violently against the unyielding wire mesh. It claws frantically at the trap door, searching for a gap that just doesn't exist. It bashes its nose repeatedly against the rigid metal frame in a desperate bid for freedom. This isn't some calculated escape attempt. We're talking about pure, unchecked, physical chaos happening at lightning speed. Section 2. The biology of panic. The source material actually sums up this moment perfectly. It says, when a wild, unsocialized cat finds itself suddenly enclosed in a metal cage, its immediate evolutionary response is blind panic. The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that this isn't just a cat being a little spooked or nervous. This is thousands of years of biological programming totally hijacking the brain. It's a completely uncontrollable fight or flight response to a sudden loss of freedom. Essentially, the cat's brain is screaming that it's been caught by a predator and is about to die. If a trapper fails to step in immediately, the physical toll of this fight-or-flight response is devastating. The cat will quickly suffer severe facial lacerations and broken teeth from violently biting at the thick galvanized wire. Internally, their heart rate skyrockets to dangerously high levels, inducing extreme physiological stress. And that stress can severely complicate their upcoming veterinarian surgeries. The cat is literally injuring itself, driven by a hardwired, desperate attempt to escape. So the stakes in these few seconds couldn't possibly be higher. Section 3. The immediate cover rule. So, what is the most powerful tool a trapper has to stop this trauma? It's not a dart, it's not a complex chemical tranquilizer, and it's definitely not a high-tech gadget. It is astonishingly simple, yet grounded entirely in biology. The biological off switch for all of this panic is nothing more than a large, dark, opaque towel or blanket thrown entirely over the trap to cover it completely from all sides. That's it. The contrast between an uncovered and a covered trap is literally night and day. Without the cover, the cat can see every visual threat around them. Humans towering over them, passing cars, other animals. The cat is constantly scanning for escape routes, which sends its central nervous system into total overdrive, leading to that violent thrashing. But the second that dark fabric goes over the cage, the visual line of sight is completely broken. Without that visual input to process, the central nervous system rapidly shifts out of panic, resulting in an almost immediate, eerie silence. And this brings us right to the underlying science, a phenomenon known as a central nervous system shift. When that visual line of sight is broken by the dark fabric, the feline brain literally stops perceiving imminent visual threats. It's kind of like sensory deprivation.
Because the brain can no longer see predators and can no longer calculate geometric escape routes, it essentially forces the body to abruptly abandon the exhausting fight or flight response. The brain tells the body, okay, shut down and hide. The instant physiological response is absolutely remarkable to witness. Under the safety of that towel, the cat drops into a quiet, defensive crouch. That dangerously high heart rate, it dramatically lowers to a safe, manageable rhythm. The frantic thrashing against the wire instantly and completely stops. With one simple motion, you've prevented horrific self-inflicted traumas, like broken teeth and facial cuts, and forced a total reset of the feline nervous system. You've just turned a life-threatening crisis into a state of manageable calm.
Section 4. The ongoing shield. Safe transport and recovery.
Now, the immediate cover rule isn't just for the alleyway. It has to be a continuous journey. From minute 1 at the point of capture, the protective shield is established. As you move into hour 2, loading the cat for transport in a loud, unfamiliar car, the cover stays firmly on. And all the way through the critical 24 to 48-hour clinic check-in and post-surgery recovery period, that biological shield remains exactly in place. It's a continuous line of protection that carries the animal safely through the entire TNR process. I want to make sure you take this core principle away from our explainer today. This continuous cover rule is completely non-negotiable. Look, as humans, our natural instinct when we see a scared animal is to peel back the towel to check on it, to speak softly to it, to try and provide some comfort. Please do not do this. To a wild feral cat, your well-meaning face is that of a giant predator. Removing the cover or opening the trap strips away their only biological shield, instantly re-triggering that severe panic cycle all over again, and basically undoing all of your hard work. Following surgery, these cats are highly, highly vulnerable. They're still heavily disoriented from veterinary anesthesia, and they actually cannot properly regulate their own internal body temperature. Because of this, the recovery environment is absolutely critical. They have to be placed in a quiet, climate-controlled space kept strictly between 65 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. The trot must be elevated off cold concrete floors, using blocks or crates to prevent rapid heat loss, and crucially, you monitor the cat entirely through sound, or by very subtly lifting just a tiny fraction of the back corner of the cover, never ever exposing their face. That recovery window is generally 24 to 48 hours. Keep these numbers in your head, because community cats must never be released on the exact same day of their surgery while the anesthesia is still in their system. Male cats who undergo a less invasive neuter procedure can usually be safely released right at the 24-hour mark. Females, however, have undergone a major abdominal space surgery, so they require a longer window of up to 48 hours in that covered trap, just to ensure their incisions are stable and the anesthesia has fully cleared out of their system. During this crucial recovery window, trappers use that extremely subtle peeking method we talked about to watch out for specific red flag emergencies. They're checking to ensure there's no continuous bleeding from the surgical site or from the ear tip, which, by the way, is the universal surgical sign of a neutered feral cat. They're looking for prolonged lethargy. Specifically, if a cat is failing to wake up or lift its head after 6 hours, that's a problem. And they are highly vigilant for symptoms of hypothermia, keeping a close eye out for shivering or pale gums. Once the cat is fully recovered, alert, and clear-eyed, we finally reach the last stage, the release. The source material is incredibly strict here. You must return the cat to the exact geographic coordinates of its capture. Feral cats are fiercely territorial. They rely on complex mental maps of their environment for survival. If you just release a community cat in a random park, a farm, or a new neighborhood, it's going to have no known food sources or shelters. It'll panic, likely run blindly into traffic, or just slowly starve. The physical mechanics of a safe release are straightforward, but they do require care. You bring the covered trap to the exact location and face it toward clear, unobstructed cover, like a thicket of bushes, an alleyway fence, or maybe an open shed. You lift the rear door, you pull back that protective towel for the very last time, and you step back. You allow the cat to bolt naturally and safely back into the home territory it knows so well, completely unharmed. As we wrap up this explainer, the big, crucial point I want to leave you with is this. Humanity and science meet in a simple piece of fabric. The most powerful, life-saving tool in a trapper's arsenal isn't a complex gadget, and it isn't even the metal trap itself. It really is the towel. It's the deep understanding of feline neurology practically applied in the field to save an animal from its own terrifying instincts. Which leads me to a final thought for you to ponder. If simple darkness and breaking the visual line of sight act as the ultimate biological shield against panic, how does knowing this change the way we perceive and interact with not just community cats, but all trapped or frightened wildlife?
It's a profound reminder of the deep, unbreakable connection between an animal's immediate environment and its internal biology. Thanks so much for exploring this source material with me today. Keep asking questions, keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.